So to start, I am from Niagara Falls, New York. I am an only child, and I am not well versed in religion whatsoever. Growing up, I never really went to church. I tried. My parents tried to take me when I was little, and I fell asleep every week. So they kind of just stopped taking me because they were like, well, if you're going to sleep, why are you going to go? So I was never really forced into religion or believing a religion. Um, the most interesting church that I've ever been to was actually in high school. My friend's dad is a pastor, and he knew that I was going to be going, and he kind of like tailored his preaching towards something that I would understand. So at that point, it was track season. So he kind of related, God's ideas for us as what happens in the 400 relay. You're going, if you fall, if you trip, that's God's plan. You're going to get back up. You're going to keep running. You're going to finish the race. Kind of relating it to life. You can't let one obstacle get you down. So essentially, what's my calling in life? What's my vocation? What am I meant to do? And the Bible, it discusses vocation as a call or doing a special task in God's service. So if you put the two together, your calling involves doing unto others in order to fulfill God's purpose in you. Something that stood out to me was William Perkins' testimony, a treatise of vocations that said a vocation is a certain condition or kind of life ordained and imposed on man by God for the common good. I personally don't like the term imposed in this sentence. I like the quote, but I think imposed is a strong word because I don't think God's really imposing anything on us. I think he's allowing us to experience a journey as we find our calling and our vocation, because if it was just imposed onto us right away, wouldn't we already know? That kind of defeats the purpose of understanding what your purpose is in life and getting closer to God and trying to find that purpose. My journal in the first week was kind of rough. It was basically just, a conversation with myself, kind of aimed towards God, just kind of talking about my past. And I think a lot of people would relate if I explain my past, but there's a lot of people that don't understand that. And as you know, you've read my journal, I was pretty open. And I think having these experiences at such a young age has enabled me to mature a lot faster than a lot of people in college right now. Like me personally, I'm ready to get married. I'm ready to have a family. Like, I don't really enjoy going out. I'd rather sit at home and be outside or, spend time with good company, be with my dog, be with my friends, be with my family. And I think that that's something that God had created in my life as an obstacle were these past experiences that were pretty traumatizing in order for me to understand how much that I can grow in the future and how much I can grow as a person and in relation to God. So, prayer is a surge of the heart, a simple look towards heaven, a cry of recognition and love. And, as you, Mr. Birkle, stated, it's not complicated. It's conversation. And for somebody like me who really doesn't have much experience in communicating with God or going to church or, I'm not well versed in religion, this was really easy for me to understand. It's conversation. I'm conversing with God. And there's different types of personal prayers and, vocal, mental, meditation, and contemplation. And I think for me, the hardest part was understanding that meditation is a conversation where I'm leading. I'm the one who's thinking, I'm the one who's seeking out these answers. And oppositely, contemplation, God is the primary actor here. God's leading everything. And I think what was difficult for me was, not having that control and not creating that conversation, searching for answers. And I think being outside kind of let me just take everything in and understand that I can just sit there, and just by sitting there and not really even thinking about much, I'm gonna get some sign from God. Something's gonna happen that's gonna make a light go off in my head, and I'm gonna realize something. And we also focus on Lectio Divina in this part. And what really stood out to me in my journal for this week was that the question in the Catechism 462, are family bonds an absolute good? And this is something that I am questioning. Obviously, I've been dating my boyfriend for 4 years, but he's got a big family. He's Italian, and I am an only child, and I don't talk to half of my family. We don't associate with them. So for me, you know, family bonds, they're important, but they're not absolute, because in the end, God is going to put these people in your life, whether they're friends, family related to you by blood or not, and they're going to be there for a reason. They're going to be there to support you. They're going to be there to teach you a lesson. And I think my biggest thing from week 2 was taking away that, there's going to be some people that I'm not going to like. There's going to be some people that don't like me. There's going to be some people that try and ruin my life just to make themselves feel better. And so for me, I just need to trust in God that He is going to overcome over this person, meaning that He's going to let whatever's supposed to happen, and that person that's trying to take that away from me is ultimately losing out. Maybe that's God's plan for that person. So week 3, we talked about theology of the body. And this was a really big shock for me. I had always thought, oh my gosh, religion, you're not supposed to embrace your body. You're not supposed to have sex. You're not supposed to engage in any type of intercourse because, that's strictly forbidden. But, theology of the body, people misinterpret their body as this sexual obstacle that you're supposed to overcome in their spirituality, but really you're supposed to embrace it. You're supposed to worship your body. Everybody says your body's a temple. Well, this temple, you're going to create life with it one day. So you should respect it and you should value it and you should take care of it, because ultimately, it's God's plan for you to settle down and to have a kid. And if you can't have a kid, go adopt. Like, this is the beauty of embracing your body, is that it can do so many wonderful things, not only because of science, but, if you have that spiritual being in you, you're going to feel more at peace going through these changes in your body that are more scientific, some things that you might not even be able to process. For me, it's crazy to think I can grow another human being inside of my body and my boyfriend can't, but that's just me. So something that I also kind of thought about in week 3 here was in my journal, I talked about how rest is not idleness. Indeed, restlessness is the torment of idle people. It is not relaxation. Relaxation should never be necessary, because the nervous tension which makes it so should never be present. And for me, this was the word. I am probably the most high-strung, anxiety, stressed person in the entire world. Like, my GAD is like here every single day, and there's some days that it's really bad and there's some days that it's pretty manageable. And I think for me that, realizing that I'm not really relaxing, I'm just resting. Relaxation is, when I'm with my people and I'm enjoying life and I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm in the moment, and in that moment, God is watching me. And I think that I just need to be a little more aware of when I'm in those relaxation, like true relaxation states. And, thank God for that, and thank Him for giving me, even if it's just a minute or two out of my high anxiety day, that I'm able to just breathe and just be, because I don't do that often. And to know that, He's kind of allowing me to do that, He's giving me these moments to do that, I need to recognize that more. And I think in recognizing that more, I will be able to relax myself overall a lot better, knowing that it is possible. So that was week 3. They love, or the selfless love, which I think that is like my most, that is the way I love. I am not a selfish lover. I will do anything for anybody. Hence why I'm sitting in my garage right now, because I'm kind of hoping that the stray cat that has been coming to our house for the past 4 days will come again tonight so I can feed her. And I have a crate set up in the back. Because I got her a litter box and a crate so that I can take her to the vet, get her scanned, and, see if she belongs to anybody. And if not, guess who she's going home with? Me. Because that's who I am. can't do that. I'm a sucker for animals, and I'm a sucker for certain people. Me to understand is that, you can't really have self-love. You can't really have, friendship love or, eros love unless you have agape love, because the minute that you put yourself first, you're putting a barrier up for letting love flow, if that makes sense. And this kind of tied into 5 was, about the resurrection, and, if there was no resurrection, what is our faith based around? For me, I'm been very skeptical about this whole concept. How can somebody die and come back to life? And in doing so, he's giving us this life and everything that we have. And I think it's just hard for me because I'm logical. I'm a black and white thinker. Like, it's very hard for me to think gray. And it's hard for me to grasp the idea that there's somebody greater than us. There's somebody greater than me. There's somebody that is higher than me, that is not controlling, but kind of, weaving these bits and pieces in of my life. And, if I die, I probably won't come back to life unless I'm right there in the hospital and they're there to resuscitate me. But this also kind of made me think is, this faith, Jesus, the resurrection, we celebrate every year. We celebrate Easter, Christmas, the birth of him. But, he's around all the time. And I think what is finally settling in with me after this class is that when I die, I'm not going to come back to life. So I need to spread my legacy now. I need to do things that are going to allow people to remember me and remember what I did and remember the impact that I've made on the world. And I think that this is kind of like the basis around, kind of believing in the God and this higher powers. We carry on his legacy. We carry on his beliefs in putting that, he is the greater power, that there is something in this cosmic universe called God that is, we're all little pieces in his grand scheme of life. And I think that after this class, I'm kind of finally able to see that it's not a bad thing that I'm not in complete control of my life. Marriage reflects the Trinitarian love. It's the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, which I also didn't really understand until I started going to a Catholic university. So thanks, Walsh, for kind of giving me that experience. I cannot wait to get married. I am ready to get married, be married to my best friend, live out the rest of our lives, have kids, get a house, like all the things that, people in their late 20s and early 30s are starting to do. I'm ready to do at the ripe age of 21. And I think that's just because I feel like I've had my fair share of experiences already that I have grown from. So this week we kind of talked about like the why to marriage and life, why marriage, its purpose. And it's to be with someone. It's to give your all to somebody. It's to share in your life, your calling that God's giving you, and sharing that with somebody on an emotional level, a physical level, a spiritual level. And in my journal this week, marriage, it's a relationship to heaven. It's a relationship to the life to come. It's a relationship to the person that you're marrying. And I obviously don't have a bunch of experience, but kind of reflecting and thinking is like this person in my life, my boyfriend, we've been dating for 4 years. He came into my life for a reason. And had I not been placed in the wrong study hall while I was a junior in high school and he was a senior, I would have never met him. We would have never come to know that when I was in kindergarten and I got thrown up on the school bus, that it was his best friend's sister and that he had to help clean that puke off the seat and off of me and off of her. And kind of thinking back on that, and, after taking this course, it's like, that's something God kind of sprinkled in there. It wasn't right place, right time. I think it was meant to be. What are the odds that I get put in this wrong study hall? What are the odds I meet him? And I think that's kind of my big take on marriage is this, is, it's two people coming together to be one. Okay, so into week 7, we talked about holiness, unity, and service. So unity is the joining of two people together. You're exchanging last names, such as in marriage. You're tying wrists together. And this kind of relates to in heaven. Once we reach heaven, we're united with Christ. Because we believe Christ is in heaven. We want to reach heaven. We don't want to end up in hell. And something that I kind of laugh at now is I've always said, well, if I'm going to go to hell, apparently it's going to be more fun in heaven. But, after taking this course, I think I've been saying the wrong statement and saying it jokingly, as in I don't want to go to hell. I want to go to heaven, because the people that are going to reach heaven are the people that are able to have that selfless agape love, that philos friendship love. These are people that are doing good for other people. These are people that have been through a lot in their life and they've been able to triumph and overcome. These are going to be people that have had probably similar experiences to me. And, I think these are the people that I want to be around. These like-minded yet different people that are kind of realizing what God has done for them. And, we're talking about like holiness and unity and, holiness in marriage. It's for lifting our partner up. We want them to be the best person that they can be. And honestly, if you're not in a relationship to try and make that person the best person that they can be, and they're not there to do the same for you, then why are you even with that person? Kind of also speaking about service is, other people. You're there to help other people. You're there in the world to make a difference to somebody else. That's part of your calling. That's part of your vocation. You are doing something in the act of God that you are intended to do, you are meant to do, that you probably don't know you're supposed to do it until it's too late. But you're doing something for somebody else. And that is your vocation. That is what calling is all about, is not doing for you, but doing because of you. The House Lander book and the Plater book, for me personally, were really easy reads that I found to be actually really interesting. And I thought this would be just another, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall asleep in a theology class. But, I put in the work and I took the opportunity to try and learn and to want to understand a little more. And I think because this course allowed you to talk with other people on discussion boards and to, kind of let yourself go in your weekly journals, I think I learned a lot about myself and a lot about what I need to do in order to become a better person. So this is kind of leading me into my last segment here, which is, where am I right now? Where am I in my spiritual journey, my life? What do I want for my future? And I think after this class, I can say is I'm just beginning. I thought I'd begun a long time ago, but no. Through this class, I realized I need to start to read a little more self-love books, self-care books, some more books that maybe account for some people's spirituality and, placing their trust in God. And, I'm slowly making sense of the idea of putting my trust into someone, God, that is not physically here in front of me. Being the type of personality that is I like order, I like organization, to not have something physically in front of me kind of throws me off a little bit. But I think I need to recognize also where my spirituality lies, is that, it sounds weird, but I'm very empathetic. I go certain places, I get really overwhelmed. I walk by people, I get really overwhelmed. Sometimes I go into church and I can't breathe. And I think that it's just because I have this ability to take in so much from other people and from my surroundings that it just overwhelms me. And I think something that I can do to help my spirituality is, kind of look into that more and be open. Is it a sign from God? Is it a sign that I'm supposed to be doing something different? And I think that'll really help me. And, that's, kind of where I am now is I'm learning. I'm a student right now, literally, and, in my spiritual journey. But in the future, I want to be able to place my trust in God and, accept what is and what is not. And right now it's raining outside. And that's part of the reason that I actually want to sit out here, is because I love the rain. I love the storms. And I love the kind of, peace that it brings. So sitting in my garage and now hearing this rain, it's calming. It's letting me be, here I am. I have my bond. It's the week of finals. I'm stressed. I'm crazy. I'm not sleeping. But that's part of God's plan. And that's kind of, I'm not relaxing right now. I can relax when everything's done. And I think I'll truly be able to relax. And I think, reading these books, self-care, spiritual books, that I will be able to truly have that relaxation and that relationship with God as I am able to relax. So, for my future, I want to get engaged, hopefully by the end of this summer at the boyfriend. And, I want to be married by 23. The year after I graduate, however year of work under my belt. I want to be done having kids by the time I'm 27. I want to adopt a kid. I want to adopt a kid from Africa or, a country where they may not have the resources to provide for this child. I want to be able to foster dogs and foster cats and, help animals and, because they can't help themselves. They can't talk. And, I want to become a nurse because I want to help people. I want to become a CRNA, and I want to do my thesis on helping veterans with PTSD because that was an experience that I have with a loved one that I think a lot of people don't look at. And I think mental health is a big issue right now, and there's a lot of stigma that goes around it. And I think after taking this course, my vocation truly is to just help people, just to help, to make a difference, whether it be big or small. And, who knows when I graduate nursing, if, my ideal dream will come true, I may find out that what I'm supposed to do is completely different than what I thought it was in the beginning. And that's all right. And I think that's really what this course taught me is that, change is okay as long as I put my trust in God and turn to him when I'm having any type of issues, and that he's not going to judge me because I don't know the Bible verse by verse, but he's going to be there to kind of show me and lead me in the right step in order to fulfilling my life, in order to make it to heaven when my time comes. So thank you.